Starting to dig this base. I don't normally build mountain bases, but this one's turned out kind of cool. Other than all of our animals getting sick. But I have a solution for sick animals, which is to murder them all. That's an issue in the jungle, is that your animals get sick all the time, but my people seem to be very much in tuned with lovemaking and making babies and marriage. So Charlie and Lurks are going to get married soon. And our prisoners are doing well. I talked about this last video. We've set up a kind of permanent prison hospital because they don't have any legs. So we still have some issues chopping off their legs, but for the most part, the steel tiles and the hospital beds have much improved our surgery success. We have captured 5 of the 40 prisoners that the Empire has asked us to accumulate here in this jungle prison. Right now we have some Neanderthals raiding us, although we also have the Empire coming by to collect some tribute. We won't give them any prisoners yet until we have completed the collection of all 40 of them. So for right now, what we're going to do is use this rhino to fight them a little bit, because our Yatkins can war call animals. The rhinos, I think, are probably the best at fighting. They tend to do some damage, but the Neanderthals are so naturally tough that the rhinos really aren't able to take down that many. We are able to take them down with our spike traps, though, because we've built quite a few spike traps, and that deflects the first raid. Although while we're bandaging them, I forget that the Neanderthals were in 2 groups, so only half of them fled. This guy's still coming in and hits 2 granite spike traps, the last one. So unfortunately, this raid ends up popping all of our spike traps, and we try to tend to these people so that we can capture them, which proves quite difficult, even though Charlie and Tails are both good doctors. One of the raiders dies without being able to be salvaged, but Charlie's raider, turns out that we are able to actually save him. We're playing on Blood and Dust, and we're playing on commitment mode, so we got to be really careful when we're messing with these raids, because one small mistake and it's over. I mean, our people could be devastated if we're not careful. We're also playing on Randy Random, and the one Neanderthal that we were able to capture immediately goes berserk and tries to break out of the prison, which is why we have the policy that all prisoners must be legless. Unfortunately, we were not able to cut off his legs in time, so we recruit Lurks to come down and, well, shoot him in the face with her shotgun, which solves the problem of the prison break, but does not solve the problem of our prison collection policy. So we're just stuck at 5 right now. What we really need to do is research turrets, because we built this nice kill box in the mountain, but we don't have any turrets yet to put in there. We need to discover machining and all these other things, but Tails is intermittently giving birth to babies and taking care of babies, so that's affecting our research rate. We also need to install a double bed in Lurks and Charlie's bedroom, because they have gotten married now and need a place to sleep, which is kind of nice because, one, I'll have more wardens eventually once they make babies and they grow up over the next couple years, and also, 2, having them sleep together takes up less space, and they can have a nice bedroom together, and I don't have to build 2 bedrooms. So we'll assign them in the same room together, and Balix built them a nice bed. We do have this quest to save Tony. Tony is a criminal doctor, which is a funny life history. Since we have these traders here with us, we will bring Tony into our colony, because, well, if some Yatkins try to chase her down and kill her, that's fine. I have these traders here to help us. Why work smarter when you can work harder? Wait, what? Why work harder when you could work smarter? So Tony's running for her life, but we've given her sanctuary inside our mountain prison. And close behind her is a pretty formidable group of 7 Yatkins, and they've also brought with them some wild boars. I was talking about this in the last video, but sometimes the Yatkin raids will come with actual animals that they've brought with them that they've trained to attack, and this one has a wild boar coming with it. So I bring all my people inside, and Tony's running for her life across the marsh, although she needs to run faster because these Yatkins are quick. They tend to be a little bit faster than baseline humans, and they almost catch up to her, even though she had a pretty fair head start. She comes through these outside doors that we have leading to the west, and we leave the doors open so that the Yatkins can path in behind her. That way, well, hopefully they'll run straight into the traders and not pop all my spike traps. Although I haven't even been able to rebuild all my spike traps from the last raid. We rebuilt some of them. But the goal is that the traders will take care of the dirty work for us. Which works pretty well, although only a couple of, the boar and yak can pass through. So I start to get worried that they are going to go and pop all my traps. But it does turn out that once they kind of realize that the door is open, or the game shifts them a little bit, they do kind of turn around even though they got up into the river and start coming through the southern door. These traders do a great job of shooting them in the face with their bow and arrows, which we are thankful for. And it doesn't actually take them long before they are able to make the Yatkins flee. Unfortunately, the Yatkins flee kind of strangely, and one of them runs up through my kill box and pops some of the traps. And then another one goes through the northern hallway and breaks through my 2 doors up north, which is annoying. Because then, well, I gotta go rebuild all that stuff. And we don't have that many workers. Balix is also our prison warden, so he kind of can do construction, but he also is busy doing other things. And, taking care of 5 prisoners is actually a lot of work. In the next video, I'll show we start to experiment a little bit with how we can more efficiently feed these prisoners. This is Baltai. He actually doesn't get a beneficial trait. So he does get a plant's inspiration, but only had negative traits, so we had the option of choosing none, which is what we did there. But the quest for choosing the right division of labor is proving difficult with only 4 people, which is why we recruited Tony. Even with 5 people, it's tough to haul everything, cook, feed the prisoners, do research, and most importantly, rebuild all our spike traps after every raid. We called in these elephants so that they could come help us. Unfortunately, and I don't know why this happened, but the elephants are not as adept at killing people as the rhinoceroses seem to be. These elephants didn't really hurt this raid at all. They didn't kill anyone, which is a little bit frustrating. They only injured really 1 person. So there's a fair amount of them here. There's 13 of them. And there's only 6 traps set up, so Balls did not prioritize trap rebuilding, which I should have made a priority, especially on this difficulty. But luckily, we have recruited these 3 elephants, and we've zoned them into our kill box. So their names are Bunks, Trunks, and Bebe. We don't have the ability to draw them in here and shoot them, which would be sweet if we had a bunch of turrets in here. We could blast them all to death. But instead, they'll aggro on our elephants, hopefully, which they end up doing, and then we can go up there and employ the age-old tactic of shooting them in the back with our shotguns. Unfortunately, I don't like to see my elephants die, and it kind of irks me to use my elephants as a meat shield, but it is what it is, and we have to do what we have to do. They were hard to tame. It took forever to tame them. And we finally were able to tame 2 male elephants and a female elephant. We're immediately putting them to use because of this raid that came through kind of overpowered us pretty well. The raids are varying in strength pretty drastically. And we'll get a raid of 6 or 7 people, and then one will come like this that has 13. And if your spike traps aren't set up, it can be a little bit difficult to deal with. I think that having animals on board is always very useful. We also have not built any fire foam poppers, although we did research fire foam so that this very instance, this very issue could be prevented. But the jungle has blessed us with rain, which is excellent, and we'll soon put out these fires. And we tried to save some people, but everyone actually died on this raid, so we weren't able to capture any prisoners. This prisoner is about to die. That's the last one that was alive. And instead of trying to capture that prisoner, we had to show some mercy in our hearts and bandage our elephants instead of bandaging our prisoner. We are able to save all of our elephants. However, we are going to use them a lot in the coming months. If you check out the next video, we will continue our alliance with the war elephants, and you'll see how beneficial they are to this colony, especially in these early stages.